Do you like wolves? I've always liked them. Maybe it's because wolves are strong, independent, and mysterious. Or maybe it's because they seem to belong somewhere between the wild and the civilized world. No matter the reason, wolves have always fascinated me. So today, I decided to carve a wolf's head from a piece of wood. As usual, everything starts with a rough block. At this stage, it doesn't look like a wolf at all. In fact, if someone walked by and looked at it, they would probably have no idea what I'm trying to make. But that's one of the things I enjoy most about carving. Every sculpture begins as something ordinary. A block of wood, a rough shape, a collection of random cuts. And then, little by little, a form begins to emerge. For this project, I wanted to try using a chainsaw for the initial shaping process. A chainsaw removes material very quickly and allows me to establish the overall proportions in a relatively short amount of time. Of course, speed comes with its own challenges. A single wrong cut can remove something that took a long time to grow. Unlike clay, wood doesn't give you a second chance very often. Once it's gone, it's gone. So even during the rough stages, every cut still requires attention. As the shape started appearing, I focused on the main features of the wolf. The forehead, the muzzle, the ears, and most importantly, the expression. For me, expression is often more important than perfect anatomy. A sculpture can be technically accurate, but if it doesn't feel alive, something is missing. I wanted this wolf to look calm, thoughtful, and slightly melancholic. Not aggressive, not angry, just quietly observing. Almost as if it has already seen more of the world than it cares to talk about. As the carving continued, I switched between different tools. Some cuts were large and bold. Others were small adjustments that most people would never notice. Interestingly, those tiny adjustments often consume the most time. A few millimeters can completely change the character of a face. That's one of the reasons sculpture keeps teaching me patience. The closer you get to the finish line, the slower you often have to move. At some point during the process, the wood stops feeling like a block of material. It begins to feel like a personality, a presence. And that's usually the moment when a project becomes truly enjoyable. You stop removing wood randomly. Instead, you start listening to what the sculpture wants to become. That might sound strange, but many artists probably understand exactly what I mean. By the end of the carving session, the wolf finally started looking like the image I had in my mind. Not perfect, not finished, but alive enough to tell a story. And honestly, that's all I ever hoped for. Thank you for spending some time in the workshop with me today. I hope you enjoyed watching this wolf slowly emerge from a simple block of wood. And if you stayed until the end, I'd love to know. Do you like wolves too?